Welcome to Heart Healthy Living with Dr. Jackie, a Big Blend radio podcast that features Dr. Jacqueline Eubany, a board-certified cardiologist and electrophysiologist and author of the best-selling book, Women and Heart Disease, The Real Story. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the second episode. We're so excited of Dr. Jackie being here on Big Blend Radio with her Heart Healthy Living podcast. And today we're going to be talking about men's heart health. It is Men's Health Month. And so we thought, yeah, you know what? Dr. Jackie is always talking about women's heart health because, hey, as she always says, this is actually one of the most deadly diseases for women is heart health disease. But I think it's also pretty deadly for men too. So we thought, hey, we're going to talk about that today. So welcome back, Dr. Jackie. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Dr. Jackie. So you always talk about women's heart health, right? That if we turn things around, we could actually have a better percentage of turning around and defeating things through our lifestyle, 80%, right? And you say also that heart health, heart disease is actually the number one killer of women, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, heart disease, yes.
Above breast cancer and, I mean, all of it is horrible, but like heart disease is at the top for women. What about for men?
Heart disease is also the number one killer of men. It's actually the number one killer of people here in the United States. And and most first world countries.
Oh, wow. So killing more women and men than breast and lung cancer.
Yeah.
Because men get breast cancer. So
yes, they do actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but
this
we
is
emphasize it in women because you and I, when we have our conversations, we emphasize it in women because we're just trying to educate the public, because for a very long time, the public was just not aware of the fact that heart disease is also the number one killer of women. So with our education, we want to get better health care for women and, early detection so that they're treated and so that the prognosis from their heart disease is about the same as men, really.
Oh, wow. So, but men, we're always kind of connected to heart disease and a heart attack because, it's like when someone goes down in a restaurant, right? We always talk about Fred Sanford and Sanford and Sons, the epic, TV scenes of that. But I mean, I think there's a lot of us in a younger generation who don't know who Fred Sanford is, but Google him. Anyway, but when someone in a restaurant, a man has a restaurant, we're just using a restaurant as a thing, suddenly starts to keel over and they grip their chest, we all know heart attack, stroke, right? Those two things.
Absolutely.
Whereas a woman doesn't do that. And so that's kind of why we've always focused on women, because women have heart attacks without people knowing all the time. And then and that can lead to a stroke and and they keep going on with their daily lives, which is kind of crazy. That's kind of a thing. I think it have small.
And we know so much, and we know so much more about men and heart disease because a lot of the studies, actually most of the studies that looked at heart attack in terms of the diagnosis and the treatment had mostly men in the study. So all that data that we have really were obtained from studies involving men and very few women. So we know so much about heart disease in men that we, for a long time, just have ignored women and the effects of heart disease on them. But we're learning, as time has gone on, I think there's more information about women. There's more encouragement for women to enroll in trials so that we can have data about medications, not just on men, but also on women. So over time, it's been getting better.
Yeah, it is getting better. I mean, science keeps, creating more studies and getting more data. And it's so fascinating about how the studies have to work. And it takes years for a study to actually come through. That's the interesting thing that I think is very important that we always discuss, is that A study is not like somebody just goes and puts a drop in a petri dish and goes, hey, now we've got a result. Right. And I think that's what it's like we want to read headlines and go, well, this is how it is, but that's not how it is in science and medicine. It takes years for a study
Yes.
to actually come through because you have to, like even COVID, right? It's going to take another
Right.
5 to 10 years before we actually know
Yeah.
the real effects, right?
Absolutely.
For,
Absolutely. You got to
yeah, you
study
have,
and see what the long term outcomes of the trial show. So yes, it takes a while.
so you mentioned about the beginning about heart disease. Is this really more about more affluent countries that are suffering from heart disease? Is it because we're eating more meat, eating more sugary
Yeah, it
things,
would.
drinking more sodas? Is it about our diet and lifestyle not being so out there and going around and being more physical to get things done? Is it that that's kind of contributing to this?
Yeah, it would appear that lifestyles contribute a lot to heart disease. I mean, granted, there's a fraction of people who inherit, this heart disease disorders, but the majority of heart disease is a result of unhealthy living.
Hmm. Yet we're like in these better society. I don't want to say better, you know what I mean? Because look at it, right?
We have,
Um,
yeah, we have access to more, and therefore we eat and we do a lot
so we're
more of the
becoming
things that are not
unhealthier.
necessarily good for you. Yeah, yeah,
Wow, is that
yeah.
amazing? Yeah, and when people can live off the land, hunt, fish, do kinds of things, and they may get other diseases, but they're actually kind of more with it on life in a way. And yet, so we
Yeah.
became kind of, it's our lifestyle. So we have to look at our lifestyle as a whole. And that's, I know something you've been advocating for years. And I think it does come down to women and men. Yes, we've got to talk about both. On today's podcast is about men, but women have always tried to get the household together and everything. Men do too. But I think, we talk about women in stress, but men over the years. So we've got a generational change happening right now, right? We've got our
Hmm.
World War II generation, our greatest generation, as they say, is moving on
Hmm.
out,
Yes.
going to their next adventure. And at the same time, here comes this next generation of boomers and everything who are we're all living longer. And I wonder
Yes.
about the stress of this because there's so many stresses that, the longer you live, the more stress you have, right? Um, we're not
Yes.
all just sitting calmly on a farm in a rocking chair drinking iced tea. It's not the way our world is, right? So while we may be eating more meat, drinking more alcohol, eating more
Hmm.
Cheetos, drinking more sodas, eating those, little cookies we shouldn't be having. Um, at the same time, we have a stress level that's probably propelling the ingestion of more of those things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Ooh,
So yeah.
and
So the
men
risk
feel that.
factors you just.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So you're just basically outlining the risk factors associated with heart disease, which is really the same for both men and women, and a lot of the things that you just mentioned contribute, like physical inactivity, smoking, a diet that's rich in fatty products, animal fats, heavy alcohol use, not, obesity. Obesity is a big one. Other
Mm.
medical problems like hypertension, high cholesterol, and diabetes. All these can lead to, heart attack or put you at risk for a heart attack later on down the line.
So there's a lot of movements happening that are positive. And I interview a lot of musicians, right? And
Yes.
I love my musicians. I do, but they don't give me any good stories anymore of like partying and doing crazy things. They're all drinking green smoothies before they go on stage. They're running around the block. They're like healthy. They don't drink. They don't do any crazy stuff anymore. I don't know what's going on, Dr. Jackie. What did you do? Yeah. But they're producing, they say, and I agree, they're producing better music, right? So we're
Yeah, yeah.
finding
No,
there's this weird, interesting thing about society where I think there's a stress level, and I think men have felt it for many years because you've got to think about, I'm going back to that generational change, right? And going back and,
hmm
you've got to be the breadwinner. You've got to come home with this, make this happen. And if you don't think the wife and the kids don't stress over it, right? That's not true. They do too. And we have everyone together now in different relationship profiles. Is that the way to say it? Like, we've got husbands, we've got wives, we've got, everyone's in, we're shifting in society.
hmm
Society has been doing this for years, by the way, everyone. But anyway, um,
Right.
but I think there's
But
so many
educating
stressors.
people, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it's so hard.
yeah,
It's so hard
yeah,
because
exactly.
stress, I think whether you're a male or a female, is what leads you to the cookie, leads you to the cigarette, the pot, the drinking, whatever it is, and the TV
Mhm.
or playing games on your phone instead of going for a walk in nature. And then the people once get out there in nature and do those walks, once you're in it, you're like, dude, why did I fight that? You know?
Right,
Um, so
right.
for men, because it's also, I think so I'm going to get weird with you, Dr. Jackie. I think, we've gone through some shifts in, um, how gender is appropriated, right? So I don't even know if that's the right way to say it. But basically, men are, here's your body, here's your physiology, or how your biology works in your body, right? Emotionally and everything. But how men have also had to go through things in life. So if you're maybe gay, right? And now you have a husband and you're going through
Mhm.
this. So there's all kinds of stressors that
Yes.
we maybe not we didn't have a few years ago, but they were just hidden stressors. So I'm just giving,
Hidden
I just,
stresses, that's right.
can I just say this? Like, men have had stressors that we may not have known about.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
so,
I mean,
I
yeah,
want to bring that up. Am I allowed to talk about
yeah.
this here? Um, because men's health is men's health, right? But men are having stressors from different profiles. I don't know how to explain that,
Yeah,
but I think they are.
yeah. Yeah, I think men experience stress just as often as women, and they experience different stresses. But overall, stress does the same thing. So there's a
Mm.
whole lot of stress across both genders.
So it doesn't really matter what I say. Like, you're just going to call stress as stress and we have to deal with it better. So we have all
Because
this
the end,
stress. Yeah. Stress is
the end
stress,
result
right?
is the same. Yeah, absolutely,
So it's how
absolutely.
we deal with it, but we don't want to deal with it
Yeah,
when we're in stress mode. I'm going for the bag of Cheetos because I want my orange fingers, you
that's
know,
right. You make
and
poor
that it doesn't
choices
actually
when
matter
you're under
what
a lot of
gender
stress.
you are or what, you know, yeah, it doesn't. It
Yeah,
doesn't. Stress
no, it
is stress.
doesn't.
Okay.
It's yeah, because it will. We talk about it because of the end result. So it doesn't matter what kind of stress it is, because sometimes the stress on you may not be the same kind of stress that. Yeah, the same situation can be very stressful for you, but not be stressful for somebody else.
Huh. Good
So I
point.
think
Yeah.
stress is stress, but we bring it up because of what it can do to your heart. So the result of stress is what we don't like, and so we have to figure out ways to avoid stress so that we can live healthier lives,
And
have a healthier heart.
physical and emotional stress. Emotional stress. I mean,
Yes.
we have to understand our stress. So I brought up some
Yeah.
things that I think is important because it gets kind of swept up under the rug a bit at times. But,
Mhm.
that's the real truth. It could be a financial thing. It could be, I mean, all the stress. I mean, our country is going through stress. Our world is going through stress, right? So let's
Yeah.
just think about it. Young men, right? So let's talk about heart health for men. When do we need to start looking at it for, do young men need to start, young boys, do we start, we handling stress? I would say stress and diet probably, and physical activity.
Mhm.
Those three things, are those the main causes? And then I know you say no smoking, Shanae,
Yes.
on that. Oh,
Yes. Yes. I
no
think
smoking.
all the risk factors have equal weight in terms of their ability to increase your risk for heart
Hmm.
disease. And yeah, all the things that you mentioned um, that can
Yeah.
increase the your risk. So changing your lifestyle can help. I quote this all the time. One study that showed that you can decrease your risk of a heart attack by up to 80% just by implementing some simple lifestyle changes. I know we always say simple lifestyle changes, but really sometimes it's not as simple as it looks because
Mm.
our lives are so busy sometimes, and it can be
One step,
difficult to
one
implement
step.
these changes
Yeah, because
one
there's
step at a
like,
time. Exactly.
Nancy and I, we love our wine, and then we'll just say, okay, that's it. We've done our 5 ounces plus.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
But if we say, okay, no to that one, and you're fine. Michelle Obama talked about this, about enough is enough. Her dad always said, what is enough? Do you need the second slice of cake? Do you need to have that? You've had a slice of cake. You've had that taste of it. You don't need the second, so where do we go? And that's kind of, when I heard her talk about that, I thought, my gosh,
Yeah.
that just sums up our country of how we are behaving. Like, do we need, how much of a filet mignon do you need? I mean, to me, I just want one slice and I'm done, honestly, because I don't need that much red meat for me personally. It's like kind of a maybe every 6 month to year to 2 year thing, honestly. I don't.
Mhm.
One of those people. But other people, especially if we look at the way our country profile is, and that's kind of where I was going before, um, it's a
Mhm.
manly thing. You must eat red meat every day. You must do this. You must hunt.
Yeah.
You must do. So I'm bringing that up. And if you look at that lifestyle, and, Nancy and I travel the country and we'll see certain regions, and you can see the difference. And we see a shift in the change of age groups are getting better than their parents,
Mhm.
basically. So we do see that. But right now, parents are still in that zone of who cares. And it's actually not fair to their kids, by the way. Um, but it's kind of this, we must eat meat every night kind of thing. This is the way it is. It's always been this way. And you can literally see a heart attack waiting to happen. Literally. You
Yeah.
can tell by the
Yeah.
body, like you're in trouble and you can't breathe, you can't move, you can't go up a few stairs, you can't do this. And, you know, that's an all for pride over eating meat. And I feel that and see that. I'm not anti meat eating, I'm just saying, can we cut it down a bit? Because even if you just give up one extra night a week, right? Doesn't that help?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can cut back. You can start small, and over time, as you get used to it, you can slowly decrease
Mm,
the amount of animal proteins that you consume. Because we say it's bad for you because it has a lot of bad fats, the ones that are we call polyunsaturated fats, and those are the ones that cause the high cholesterol and blockages in your heart that can lead to a heart attack. So
mm.
if you can, cut back on the amount of these saturated fats that you eat, maybe like you were saying, cut down. Maybe it'd be ideal to do 2 to 3 times a month as opposed to every day. But try cutting it back. Maybe increase the amount of vegetables that you eat, fruits and vegetables. As a matter of fact, making the fruits and vegetables the major part of your meal, and and the protein, the animal protein, be like the side dish or something like that.
Well, I know
So
Chef
slowly
Ivan
cutting back
Flowers.
one.
Yeah, Chef Ivan Flowers was on our show all the time. He's a five-star chef and
Uh-huh.
now teaches kids. He teaches a high school culinary program and helps them get into jobs and teaches them how to get into the hospitality industry, which I think is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about it. He's been a chef all his life and of course ate everything under the sun and had to learn like, oh crap, I can't do this and that. And he is adamant. He goes, we've got to stop this. And as men too, he says, we've got to stop this. And he says, the problem is we have not learned vegetable cookery, which is, he says, you want a challenge. You know how to grill a steak. It's really not that hard. He goes, but if you want to do anything challenging as a man on the grill, he's like, I encourage you to do vegetable cookery and really get it
Mm-hmm.
right. Because if you get vegetable cookery right, it means you're not cooking the vegetable until it's pulp and gross. It is about embracing the life of the vegetable, the fruit. He's really adamant about that. And he's not anti-meat. He's just like, hello, we've got to change how we eat. And he's doing that with kids now. And I think that's
That's
something
wonderful.
important. I think that's important
Yeah.
that we understand that, okay, we all thought meat was king at one point, but cut back a bit, whatever you can do,
Yeah.
you know. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
saying everybody's in a different position and all of that, but we can make a change and the meat is not going to help you breathe better. And stress, when I see people in pure stress, they can't breathe. They cannot breathe and they cannot walk. And I always think that's tied to their heart in some way. And I see a lot of
Yes.
men with that, with work, with financial struggles, whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you have bad heart disease, and if you do damage your heart and cause heart failure, then you will have problems with minimal physical activity.
Okay. Now let's talk about what we can do. And we'll get to the term of the month, which is heart attack in a little bit, but we've already been grim and sober. So let's talk about the fun factor of what we can eat, Dr. Jackie. What can men say they can eat, feel good about, get together with their guy? I know a lot of men that get together and they have their coffee clubs and some have happy hours, but what can they do to have good food that's going to make them happy? You know,
Well,
I know. Well, fish. What about
I know
fish? And listen, I'm just saying,
yeah,
guys
fish,
like to go fishing,
yeah,
so maybe fish and
yeah,
fishing is a good thing. I'm just thinking.
yeah. No, we recently, I think some studies looked at the Mediterranean diet, which we'll probably touch on a later podcast. But the
Yeah.
Mediterranean diet continues to show improvement in cardiovascular health over the years. We'll talk about that later. But this diet uh, came about from people who lived around the Mediterranean area in Europe, and the fact that people were noticing that they had fewer heart disease, people were living longer. So they were studied. People watched them, see what they ate, looked at what their lifestyle was like, and that's how the Mediterranean diet came about. So the Mediterranean diet just basically it encompasses foods that are healthy for the heart. So low cholesterol foods, less saturated fats. So the healthier fats, like we say, olive oil, low cholesterol meals, low sodium more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, high fiber, so those kinds of things. But we'll talk about that more in a later podcast. But
Yeah.
overall, the Mediterranean diet has been shown to improve your cardiovascular health. And like you said, you can make it tasty by adding spices to it to enhance the flavor.
I
And
I love that.
yeah,
I mean, because it's
yeah,
still, you can still do stuff, you can still grill, right? You can still do the
yeah,
Mediterranean diet and grill asparagus and fish
yeah,
and, all kinds of good stuff. So I think that's all I was trying to say is like, can we have a replacement for what has been going on that so people can still have their lifestyle? That's my point. Like
right,
the replacement of
right,
lifestyle, like I want this. I want to hang with my buddies and barbecue, but what can I do to replace that? You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
everybody's
no,
like always the
absolutely,
big fat meat thing. But if you keep doing
yeah,
that every night, and I know a lot of people who grill almost every night, especially in warmer climates, like you're in, California and stuff, you guys grill all the time. It doesn't matter what time of year. And I know people in the Midwest that are like, screw you, I'm grilling in the snow. I'm doing it. Um, because eventually you have to just keep going, right? But it's about what you
right,
grill. You can still grill,
yeah,
but it's about what you grill, and you can still do that. You can still maintain that part. So that's what I'm going for is like, okay, we want to have this kind of, we got our reputation here, we got our thing, but how do we maintain that and switch it up
absolutely,
to be healthy for us, right? So
absolutely,
I,
yes,
I don't think
incorporate,
men don't want to be saying, here's my salad every day. You know, they don't want to do that. I don't know
no,
any,
no,
no. And I don't think anybody wants that. I think everybody wants to have like a replacement that tastes good, looks good, is still
it
fun.
tastes
We can
good,
still have fun with our friends,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely,
So,
yes,
okay,
absolutely.
let's talk about alcohol and drugs. I want to talk about that with you because you've talked about it before about women, we don't get anything. It sucks. But men can drink a little bit more than us, but not that much either. So basically, um, what can men do or not do drinking wise?
So, and well, in terms of alcohol, the American Heart Association recommends that we only drink moderate amounts of alcohol, because anything more than moderate amounts can lead to organ damage, whether it be the heart, the liver, etc. So, what they define as moderate would be for men, two 5-ounce glasses of wine a day is acceptable. And for women, it's just one glass. So basically, men can do twice as much as women.
Poo poo on that. But
So
yeah, but good
two
for them.
beers, two, two, right? Yeah, 2 beers a day. Two 5-ounce glasses of wine. A 1 ounce of 80 proof alcohol, something like that. So moderate amounts. You don't want to drink much more than that because the risk far outweighs any benefit once you reach a certain threshold of
Mm.
alcohol consumption.
Okay. Now, drugs. I want to bring this up just for everybody as a reminder. Um, you always talk about this. I just think it's important because we really have an epidemic going in our country. Isn't it, should I call it an epidemic? Fentanyl and all these things, but basically a drug overdose is you're going to die from heart failure, right? Whenever you do drugs, you have a chance of
You
taking
could,
your life out.
yeah, there are many ways that you can die from drugs in terms of heart condition. You can have what we call a lethal arrhythmia, where your heart starts beating really fast and you have that lethal arrhythmia we call ventricular tachycardia, and you can drop dead suddenly and unexpectedly. It can cause the arteries of your heart to spasm, which can lead to a heart attack, or it could cause a plaque, or an unstable plaque or an unstable blockage in your heart to move and further cause a heart attack. But in terms of heart failure, that's more long term. With the
Mm,
ongoing damage of the drugs on the heart itself, it can cause the heart to fail. and long term, you end up with heart failure even after you've completely stopped using actively.
So, yeah, don't be the cool kid in school doing drugs because you could
Yes.
get it
You can
later in
have
your life, right?
ramifications many years down the line after you've quit, after you've stopped using. Yes.
It's always interesting. We see all
That's
these
actually a very
famous
good
people.
point. That
Go ahead.
that's actually a very good point because when I see patients who have heart failure as a result of using some form of drugs, that's the first thing they always say. Well, I quit using that many years ago. Why do I have this now? And you explain to them that this is the damage, is ongoing over time. And
Mm,
they say, if only I'd known this back then, I may have made better
a better
choices.
decision.
How true that is, I
Right.
don't know, but I think it's important. Yeah,
That's why we do this show with you, is,
yeah,
I get kind of brutal about things because, you see people and you're like, oh my God, please don't. Dr. Jackie, you learned the bedside manner and I don't. I'm just like, dude, I lost people. I lose friends, and you like,
yeah,
dude, you were so stuck in this way and you could have saved your life and go to the other side,
yes,
not that side. I didn't want you to go that other side quite yet, and,
yes,
it's,
exactly.
I mean, I lost a friend back in my 20s and he was a cool guy, but he just went stupid. And that's why I get on the male side of this, right? He decided he wanted to drink everybody under the table. Yet he was smart, believe it or not. It sounds,
Mm,
stupid, but he was smart and had a lot going for him. But he emotionally had something unstable, right? Obviously, to do this, and he died
right.
drinking. He he
That's
literally
unfortunate.
died on the bar floor over drinking because he wanted to win a contest drinking, and that's what
Oh,
happened
that's
to him.
unfortunate.
And I'm
Oh,
going, like, there, I mean, what, and none of us could stop him. None of us. And so I get really kind
mm-hmm.
of strong about this kind of stuff because there's this bragging rights and all of this, but like there's families. He had 2 kids.
Yes, yes,
That's not cool. Your kids mean
yeah,
more. And so I bring this kind of personal stuff in because I really believe so many of us have those stories, right? Of people
yeah,
who are part of our lives. And, it's
exactly.
go get
Depend on
help,
us and
go get
everything.
help,
Yeah,
go get help if that has to happen.
absolutely.
And for women, if your partner, your male partner, and for men with your male partner, who needs help, get it, go get it. And
Yeah,
also change the diet in the household, make it fun. That's the thing, right? So let's talk about
that's
this.
right.
So if the diet
That's
has to
right.
change, doesn't it have to change for the whole household? You can't, you know what I mean? We can't
I
like
mean, it
start,
should.
you
It
shouldn't be
should.
starving somebody because otherwise it looks like you're starving somebody, right? And if you make it fun and a
Yeah,
new adventure, and so that's what we
yeah,
always talk about, the fun factor. So let's talk about that
yeah,
in a household, whether a man is single or with a loved one or a family. A change should be a fun, positive one. So I would
yeah,
say get a cookbook and start going, hey, I'm all into Mediterranean diet cooking. This is my
yeah.
new hobby. And get your family involved
Right.
or get your friends and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
That's what do you think? What would be
Absolutely.
one of your things that you
No,
can say
I
that they
completely
should do?
agree with what you. No, no, I was saying, I completely agree with what
I
you're
think I
saying
stole your
because
thing.
when
I
you.
stole it because I know you love the
Oh,
Mediterranean diet. I stole it from you.
oh, that's all right. No, but I think, if you eat healthy as a family, you're teaching your children to eat healthy and they then pick up on that habit and hopefully they continue. Most likely they will continue with healthy eating. So, healthy eating really starts at home. So involving the family is an excellent thing because you're also teaching the next generation about healthy eating. So I'm
And
100% about that.
I
And
say,
learning and
go. No, you're the doctor.
I
You
was going to
go.
say, and the Mediterranean diet is it can be delicious. It is delicious, and you can figure out ways to make it to your family's liking. You have so many more options.
Oh my
So
God,
yes,
it's
you
so
can
good. The
definitely make it.
Mediterranean diet, who doesn't find something good in there? I mean, come
Yes,
on.
everybody
Wine
can
is
find
involved,
something. Yes,
feta cheese involved, olives are
that's
involved.
right.
Like, come on, there's all
That's
kinds
right.
of good stuff in there. Uh, what about for guys going like, you know, go on the fishing trip, right? Go do that.
Yeah,
Go,
yeah,
get with your
yeah. Do
buddies.
something.
I think get
Yes.
with your buddies for hiking, jogging. I know you always say walking is a thing, right? So things like that. Get
Hmm.
with your guys. Women will get together and maybe do walks around the neighborhood or, hiking too and
Absolutely.
stuff. But
Absolutely. Yeah, do some
family,
physical
but
activity, involve friends, family. That always makes it a whole lot more fun.
I think guys want their guy things too. They want their guy trips. And golf is
Yes.
would you say golf is a good
Yeah.
enough, is that good? Well, it's
It
fun,
it's some
stress release.
activity. It's not a lot of activity, but
I'm like, give
you
me a
can
Bloody
walk.
Mary. Sorry. Uh-oh. But you want activity. You want activity,
Yeah.
cardio activity. So
Yes.
hiking,
You want your heart.
jogging. Yeah, you're not a huge fan of jogging, I know, because that could be,
Yeah.
everyone's
Yeah. No,
different.
jogging is good. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. It's
it's
good.
good. Okay, so
Yeah.
hiking, walking,
Hiking.
those kinds of things. What about
Yeah.
meditation?
Playing. What is? Or I was going to
Yoga.
say playing pickleball, something that's physical. Yeah,
What's
yoga is
going
good
on
too.
with this
Yoga.
pickleball thing, man? Everyone's playing pickleball. Have you played it,
Yes,
Doctor?
they
Have
are.
you done it? Have you done it?
I haven't. I've been invited to go, but I haven't had time to.
I think
But you know,
is it for our age group or does our is it? I thought we had to have like
yeah.
we have yeah. All right, I'll
I mean, if
try it.
you are in if you're in good physical condition, well, moderate physical condition, you can do it. Yeah.
It's like tennis, right? Like you're batting
Yeah,
things.
but it's kind of like
I,
ping
it's like
pong ball, sort of a cross between both.
and badminton. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
I say have fun. And if you're moving around and having fun, have a good time. Okay, in closing, so here comes the negative side. What your medical term is heart attack. So what is a heart attack? It's so funny because we talk about heart attacks and, we talk about Fred Sanford and everything, and women, how they don't present like men and everything. But then now we actually have to hear what a heart attack is.
So a heart attack is when you have blockages in the arteries that supply your heart with the oxygen and nutrients it needs to function normally. So you need blood flow to the heart so that it can get oxygen, nutrients, so the heart can function normally. It can pump and pump blood to the rest of the organ system.
So
So
you
a heart
want a
attack
clean,
happens when you
clean,
have
clean, clean
clean,
plumbing.
clean pipes.
Yeah,
Clean,
clean
yes,
plumb.
clean
Yeah,
pipes.
yeah.
Absolutely. So when this clean plumbing starts to get clogged up with cholesterol, and that
You,
comes from eating, saturated fats and mostly
bacon.
like the animal protein has a whole lot more saturated fats. Anyway, when you eat a lot of that and that clogs up your piping, you don't get enough oxygen to your heart. So
Oh,
that can manifest as chest pain when you try to do physical activity, because that's when your heart works the most, when you're doing physical activity. So when you're trying to do something physical, you don't get oxygen to your heart, and it manifests as chest pain. And when that artery completely occludes and you get no oxygen to a certain part of your heart, then that tissue dies, and then that's what a heart attack
wow, that sucks. I don't want one of those. Like
I don't think
seriously,
anybody wants that.
that's like a sobering
No,
thing.
I don't think
Okay,
you want
so everyone, let's do the Mediterranean diet. Let's start walking, jogging, playing pickleball, doing whatever. Let's have some fun. Let's do some
Let's
meditation.
do it.
Let's giggle with friends and let's get rid of the stress because at the end of the day, it is not worth your life. Stress is not worth.
Absolutely not.
And I think we also have emotional responses to stress. So we stress out immediately. Like something happens
Yes.
and then it's emotional stress. And so we have to become better, better in emotional intelligence as human beings. And if we can invest in that, that can help a little bit too. So, um, yeah, the whiskey at the end of the day on the balcony overlooking the city, like they did in Boston Legal. Was it whiskey or bourbon? I don't know what they were doing, but I did love that show. Um, you can do that once in a while, but you can't do it every day, and they didn't. They only did it when they won a case on Boston Legal. And William Shatner, if he says so, I'm game. But you know what I mean? Like, you don't do it every day. Yeah. Don't
No,
do cigars
no,
every
bad
day.
for you.
I know you don't
No,
like
bad for
cigars.
you.
You don't like cigars?
No,
No.
not a
Okay.
cigar person.
No, she doesn't like us to do that either. Well, Dr. Jackie, thank you so much. We can't wait. Next month, we're going to be talking about the Mediterranean diet. She touched on it today. We're going to talk about that because, hey, who doesn't want to talk about food? I do. Come
Yeah.
on. And we want to think about the beach and the coast and flowers and just vibrant food. I'm excited. Thank you, Dr. Jackie.
Well, thank you for having me.
Always fun.
All right.
Thanks for joining us on Big Blend Radio's Heart Healthy Living Show with Dr. Jackie. New episodes air every second Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can keep up with Dr. Jackie at womenandheartdiseasebook.com. Listen to the shows at bigblendradio.com.